Hey, Natsu here. Today I'm going to do my next part on what if Deku had an Omega Stone. In the last part, Deku, Tsuyu, and Bakugo basically, um, in the sports festival, demolished the competition. Like Shoto wasn't even in the top three because of them, since practically impossible for him to defeat Tsuyu, since his quirk doesn't actually push her away. She's kind of immune to his fire, and his ice isn't even going to get to actually harm her, since she can control it, or if she wants, literally she can become ice. Um, so yeah, Shoto's still going with his father. Deku decided to go with Endeavor because, well, he actually wants. Well, in the last part, I said that he said to Ida that he was going to stop Stain if he meets him. He said it with a tone of sarcasm in his voice, but he was kind of still a bit serious, like, if um, he sees Stains, he won't attack him outright unless he is attacked, but he will still try to make sure that someone will come to stop him. So, going with Endeavor, that should help. As well as I'm hoping to learn, to use fire, since basically the way the stone works is if you're training to do that, or that certain things happens, you can actually get um, new powers, or if you just train normally, you can develop them over time. So he's hoping that he can at least or start using fire, which will help him use it later, or gain more resistance to it, even though he's practically immune depending on how he uses his power already. What I mean by that is, let's say, Bakugo throws an explosion at him. He can transform into different minerals, so let's say metal sand instead of normal sand. Like, there's multiple metal that has a heat resistance so high that it's pretty much, I'm sure, not even Shoto would be able to melt them. So a sand made of that wouldn't even be affected by Baku. He would probably be blown away. Sorry about that, but that's probably the max that he would be doing. So yeah, he decided to go with Endeavor. Bakugo, since he has one for all, is going with um, Gran Torino. Sorry, that. And everyone else basically goes to the same place as they did before, with the exception that Ida isn't going after Stain. So, um, before going, they start choosing for their names, and I I didn't actually choose one for Deku yet, even though I have more stuff for the series already made, I never actually decided on a name. So I'm still going to go with Deku, since he was called by that still by Bakugo a bit. And that means Ochako probably made the same remark. So I'm going to just go back with Deku. So yeah, his suit I already explained what it looked like, so no need for that. So when Shoto and Deku starts going to Endeavor's agency, Shoto basically tells him that, well, tells Deku to be careful with his dad because he was extremely mad that Deku actually beat him, and he wants to know where his power came from because he doesn't just have a single quirk or even two, he has a lot more than that. So he sorry about that. So basically Endeavor is extremely mad and it could be dangerous for Deku. So Shoto basically explained that, which Deku basically, and then asked Deku why he actually came to Endeavor's agency, which Deku then said that firstly his power works in a way that if he trains for a specific thing, he can actually gain power for that. So if he trains with people that have fire and stuff like that, there are probably chances he might get it. So he's trying to actually do it. So after that, Shoto goes to say something, but because he thinks Deku is finished. But then Deku said also there's another reason, which Shoto looks at him and asks, what is it? And Deku then says, well, you know how Ida said that Stain is in this city? And Shoto tells him, hey, don't do anything wrong like that. It's dangerous. Which Deku tells him that he won't attack him outright unless he is attacked, which he would then be able to say it was self-defense, which Shoto does say, yeah, it's true, but how do you want to do it before that? Which he explains that he wants to look for Stain and then tell his location to other heroes, like Endeavor, per se, to basically stop him. And like he said, the only reason he would actually attack Stain is if he was being attacked. So Shoto basically told him, so the reason you come here is to stop a villain, but not for revenge, but more to make sure that he doesn't harm anyone else, as well as trying to learn my dad's and my power, which Deku kind of says, yeah, kind of. I don't really have. Sorry about that. I don't really have any other motives for coming. Which Shoto basically tells him that if he wanted to learn firepower, well, how to use firepower, why didn't he ask Bakugo? Which Deku basically said because he actually doesn't really want to help me. Before getting my quirk, they were basically, well, him and other people were basically looking down at me, as if was less than a worm, which because of that, it's it was kind of hard to do anything. When I got my quirk, I kind of I didn't try to do anything to them. I didn't even go out on a rampage, and I didn't even show them that I had one. For them, I was just the old deku, until at some point my power was shown, and they kind of stopped harassing me simply because, well, I just showed them that anytime that I wanted to, I would have been able to harm them, but I didn't. But Baku never kind of got around to trusting me that much. We do talk and are friends, but when we train, we mostly train our strength, and it's mostly him trying to pass over me. He would never try to teach me something that I'm sure of. Which Shoto basically tells him that the way it sounds, it actually seems as if he was actually as if Deku asked, Bakugo would probably accept. Which Deku just says, yeah, well, I prefer doing it with people who can completely control fire instead of just simply doing explosions. That would also help. Which Shoto basically tells him that his dad might not even actually train him. The only reason his dad actually sent him a recommendation was probably just because Deku was able to beat him, and he wanted to see the way your power works completely to make sure that he can force me to train in a way that would defeat you. Which Deku said, yeah, well, that might be a problem. Which Shoto looked at him and asked, and why? With Deku telling him, because I'm probably already stronger than your dad. So if he's not able to fight me, you won't be either. Or at least not for a long amount of time. Which Shoto says, if I'm not able to be stronger than you now, I'll never be. Your power grows in a way that nobody saw. Just at the start of the school year, you didn't have as much strength. You increase way too fast for anyone to keep up. The only one that might be able to assist you now that she has some type of connection to your quirk. Which normally I would say, yeah, Shoto doesn't speak that much or talk like that. But right now they're literally walking around, and Deku's the first person that actually showed him, um, told him that the quirk isn't the quirk of his father, that it's his own quirk, that he is his own person. And basically just hearing Deku like talking like that, basically he's just kind of trying to make the guy who actually was finally able to pass through the shell that he made around himself kind of a bit more happy, since right now Deku seems to be a bit less joyful than usual. Well, for him at least. So yeah. After a bit, Deku and Shoto arrived at Endeavor's agency. Just before entering, Shoto tells him, be careful also, I don't even know if my dad will actually train you. So they start going in, and Endeavor basically is there. And when they actually enter, First thing is that Endeavor doesn't even acknowledge that Deku is there, actually. So, basically, for the days of, well, for the time of training before the patrol, I would say the way it happens is Deku's trying to learn and trying to be close to Shoto and Endeavor to actually be, um, well, to actually train with them, while Endeavor seems to try and push him away as much as possible, and just suddenly, okay, you're fighting together to see how strong you are. Basically trying to make sure that Deku cannot advance, but at the same time seeing how he fights to basically see if Shoto would be able to defeat him. And Deku decided to just do one thing. During the night, when he's supposed to be sleeping, since he doesn't need sleep, what he does is basically just go out and look for Stain. Not looking for him to fight him, per se, but he is looking around, just walking. Um, Basically, he asked Emerald if he could change the shape of his face, his size, and whatever. Which Emerald did say yes, but it might make it harder for him to fight afterward, as well as to walk because he needs to adapt to the new body. Which Deku basically, for every night that he did it, basically he kind of trained to walk like that for a while. Always with a different face and size, and it took time for him to actually learn to walk like that correctly. Basically, when I say I'm changing the appearance, I'm not talking like a super big amount. Basically, like extending the bones and limbs and whatever just a bit. Changing the color in the eyes, the shape of the face, basically doing stuff like that, not like complete makeover. Um, so yeah, for every night until the patrol, he didn't find anything. So basically, in the before last day, before that, he tried to go talk with Deku, which he saw that Deku wasn't there. Well, actually, no, he went to talk with Deku and basically saw Deku actually leave. And then just waited awake to see when Deku will come back, which is basically just before the day start. Which Shoto tried to stay awake for all of that, but he basically just, let's say, placed a camera or something to basically see what was happening. And when he looked at the camera, he basically saw that Deku didn't sleep that night, or he didn't sleep where they were. So basically, what happens is that the next night afterward, he confronted Deku about it, and Deku basically explained to him what he was doing. And then Shoto asked him, "Don't you have problem from not sleeping? You spend almost a full week awake doing that, and you don't even seem bothered by it." Which Deku then told him that since his power to not say this to anyone, since only Bakugo knows, but since his power came on, he doesn't really need sleep that much. He doesn't need sleep at all, but he basically says that he doesn't need sleep as much as normal people, Like 4 hours can last him a full week without problem, basically, that he said. And that if he sleeps sometimes in between, it basically augments the time that he needs before sleeping. Which Shoto basically asked him, so since my dad was making you slacking off, you didn't lose any energy anyway? Which Deku basically said, yeah, basically, so I don't have any problems. Tonight I'm sleeping though, because, tomorrow, so I need to be fully awake, which Shoto basically accepted that, and then both of them went to sleep, which in reality, Deku, what he was doing was basically thinking of ways that he could fight better if he actually saw Stain, which he decided to ask Emerald if it would be possible to actually create weapons, which Emerald says, well, you can transform part of your body into it or create different matter and, different minerals, wood, and other things like that. So you should be able to do weapons. You would just need to visualize it correctly before that. But yeah, you should be able to. So what Deku did was basically plug his phone and basically just started looking at multiple martial arts that use weapons, as well as read on them a bit to basically know, okay, how are you supposed to do it, since, like, if it's supposed to be with a weapon that's precisely a certain size compared to your body, blah blah blah. I know there's not a lot like that, but normally you still need a blade if you use a sword that's not too long and stuff like that, so he still has to look. Which, the next day, some training during the day and then the patrol. And basically, Deku just asked Endeavor if he could, when the Nomu showed up, start going around the city since he's really fast and just kind of, if he sees Nomus, destroy them. Or kill them, to be more precise. Which Endeavor basically told him, do whatever you want, just don't stay in my way. Well, don't be in my way. So he basically told Shoto to, he basically asked Shoto beforehand to give him Endeavor's phone number, so that if he does find Stain, he can send it to him. Well, if he does find Stain, he can find it to Endeavor as well as other people. Basically, he looked for the phone number of heroes that would be in the area. So he basically starts looking for Stain, and as well looking for Nomus. When he finds Nomus, he basically just killed them, since he did try to learn fire, but it was too short for him to learn it. He wasn't able to do it yet, so he doesn't have fire. So Deku basically, to kill them, was just kind of grabbing them and sending extremely poisonous dose of different types of metal. I think the perfect one would be gallium or something like it. Basically, turning his hand well, making needles in his hand and basically grabbing the brain of the Nomus and kind of just, there you go, hoping that it would kill them, and basically it does. Simply because the brain of the Nomus needs to stay intact for those that have a regeneration. Pretty sure it's not all of them that have it. But yeah, they still die pretty easily from that. And at some point, he does find Stain. Stain is just about to kill the hero that was behind Ida in the original, since Ida's not there. And what Deku does is basically type his location and send it to every hero in the area, hoping that they would get it, as well as to Ida, Bakugo, and practically everyone else in class, simply for if something happens, since he knows he can probably kill Stain easily if he wanted to. But if he doesn't have to, he doesn't want to fight him. But he needs to save the hero, like right now. So Deku basically places himself and basically pushes himself as fast as possible to accelerate, and basically goes fast enough to just kind of pass in front of Stain. Stain saw him. Deku grabbed the hero and basically started running with him. At the same time, he started healing him. The hero woke up because I think he was unconscious, and basically just saw Stain coming towards them. Deku outrunning him very fast, and he was basically running towards Endeavor. Endeavor's having his fight with the other Nomu. Shoto basically told his dad that Deku basically found Stain, that they should go there. Endeavor told him that he can't right now. And basically, what was happening is that he was trying to fight the Nomu. The others were basically gathering towards them. Bakugo didn't even hesitate and started going towards where Deku told that Stain was. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Deku was staying in a general area, basically to make sure that they didn't go too far, but he was kind of trying to get as close as possible to Endeavor. Until a group of heroes arrived, basically saw Deku running, and then tried to go after Stain. Didn't go so well. Until Gran Torino basically arrived and was able to dispatch with him. Since even if Deku didn't know about him, Bakugo would have known about him and basically sent it to Gran Torino, since the full message that Deku sent was the location, and saying it to send it to more heroes to basically make sure that there's enough people to stop him. So Bakugo receiving it basically went straight for okay, I save, I send it to Gran Torino. So Stain was apprehended. Deku didn't do anything wrong. Ida either, since he wasn't even there. After a bit, Deku was actually congratulated by other heroes to basically have saw him save the hero that Deku saved, as well as being able to keep him out of danger. Basically, since he didn't attack Stain, he isn't reprimanded. He was reprimanded because it was foolish to actually go in front of him, but they kind of glossed it over simply because, well, his speed is way too big for Stain to even catch up to him. And because of the strength Deku had, so the hero didn't even bother the speed that he had. Like, he can lift multiple tons. He could literally be holding Fat Gum with one hand and running at the speed at his max speed easily. So yeah. So back in class, basically everyone kind of told him that, well, basically was asking him how scary it was, how did he feel, blah blah blah. Um, the only people that knew that he wasn't scared were um, Bakugo and Tsuyu, for the only reason that Bakugo knows how strong Deku is. Hell, Deku even let him get one for all because he knew that it was the only way to close a bit of the gap. And Tsuyu basically knows the extent of Deku's control over his body, as well as both of them knowing his strength and his speed, so they knew he wasn't really in danger. So yeah, I'm going to end it here with basically the agency arc being over. In the next part, hero versus students, I'm going to switch 3 of the yeah, no, I'm going to switch 2 people because of something that they can do that, well, that Baku, no, that Izuku and Tsuyu can do, that comes from the stones. They're going to go after All Might, basically, and, well, they're going to be against All Might, and they're probably going to have a good fight, since All Might is healed in this one, thanks to Deku. So, yeah. The fight might be a bit longer than what it would have been if All Might was hurt. So yeah, Natsu out.